New car, who this?
I gotta go in and sign something.
I'm about to go.
Okay, bye.
Just as the detective was getting into details about how Scotland and Davis ended up meeting that fateful night, Scotland's episode began. Eventually, his attorney told the judge another inmate allegedly slipped Scotland 3 pills before coming to court, causing the drowsiness and forcing the judge to adjourn for the day.
The defense always prolongs the thing. I don't know why they think it's in their best interest to prolong it or make it even longer when inevitably he was already found competent. So it's only a matter of time, but I'm very confident that Ashia Davis is going to receive the justice that she needs.
Carlos Scotland, a confessed killer, walks into court for his sentencing. The 19-year-old pleaded guilty in November to killing 36-year-old Ashia Davis, a transgender woman of color, in her room at the Woodward Inn in Highland Park on June 1st of 2023. Video showed a man at the hotel running from her room.
He's being held accountable for the crime that he did, so for that I am grateful. I want my community to continue to be vigilant and come forward and report these crimes so that we can continue to get justice.
In Detroit, Amy Lang, Fox 2 News.
Every day, the headlines remind us of a harsh reality. Violence against transgender women, particularly those of color, is an epidemic that cannot be ignored. In the United States, black transgender women face a staggering risk of violence, with studies showing they are nearly 4 times more likely to experience violent victimization than their cisgender counterparts. Ashia Davis, a vibrant 34-year-old black transgender woman from Michigan, was on the verge of a new chapter in her life, one filled with hope and promise. But on June 1, 2023, all of that was stolen in a single brutal act. Her lifeless body was discovered inside a motel room in Highland Park, Michigan. The details of her murder were chilling, and for months, her killer remained in the shadows, until an 18-year-old suspect was finally arrested. But why did this happen? Who was behind it? And what led to the shocking arrest of a teenage suspect nearly a year later? Welcome to Crime Berry Stories. Every victim deserves their story to be told, and our mission is to shed light on these cases while also enlightening others who may be in similar situations. Born into a society that often struggles to accept differences, Ashia Davis was a 34-year-old black transgender woman who embodied resilience and hope. Growing up, Ashia faced challenges that many in the LGBTQ+ community encounter, yet she remained steadfast in her identity and proud of who she was. To those closest to her, Ashia was more than just a friend, she was family. She was lovingly nicknamed Charm, for the way she carried herself with grace and confidence. She dedicated much of her time to supporting others. Her journey was one of self-discovery and courage, navigating a society that frequently marginalizes individuals like her. Ashia was not just a survivor, she was a beacon of light for those around her. Recently, she had completed nursing school, a testament to her dedication and ambition. She was eager to begin her career in healthcare, driven by a deep desire to help others and make a positive impact on her community. Her friends described her as someone who was always ready to lend a hand, whether it was through her professional aspirations or simply being there for those in need. In addition to her academic achievements, Ashia had a warm spirit that drew people to her. She was loving and kind, often going out of her way to uplift others. Her compassion extended to her beloved pet Yorkie, Clyde, who was a cherished companion in her life. Ashia's nurturing nature was evident in all she did. She wanted to create a better world for everyone around her. Tragically, Ashia's life was cut short just as she was poised to begin this new chapter. Her murder on June 1, 2023, shocked her community and highlighted the ongoing violence faced by transgender individuals. On June 1, 2023, Highland Park police officers were dispatched to the Woodward Inn, a hotel on Woodward Avenue near 7 Mile. The call came in late that evening, around 11 p.m., reporting a shooting. Upon arrival, officers entered a hotel room where they made a devastating discovery. Ashia Davis was found deceased, having suffered a gunshot wound to the head. The scene was horrific. Julissa Abad, a friend of Davis, recounted her experience of seeing Ashia on the floor outside of the hotel corner room with blacks screaming all over the floor. The initial investigation focused on collecting evidence from the crime scene. It was determined that Ashia had been shot in the back of the head at close range in what prosecutors later described as an execution-style killing. The details were brutal and pointed to a calculated act of violence. Evidence suggested that after shooting Ashia, the perpetrator fled the scene. The police began their search for the suspect, setting in motion an investigation that would eventually lead them to the suspect. The investigation into her death was thorough and meticulous, as law enforcement sought to uncover the truth behind this senseless act of violence. The suspect, Carlos Lamar Scotland, was just 17 years old at the time of the crime, and his connection to Ashia would soon come under scrutiny. On March 12, 2024, after months of investigation, Carlos Lamar Scotland was arrested. His apprehension was the result of extensive work by the Michigan State Police, who pieced together evidence from the crime scene and conducted interviews with witnesses. The details surrounding Ashia's murder were chilling, and authorities were determined to bring justice for her family and community. Carlos Lamar Scotland faced serious charges: first-degree murder, felony firearm possession, carrying a concealed weapon, and resisting and obstructing police. These charges highlighted the gravity of his actions and the impact they had on Ashia's life and the lives of those who loved her. In the days following his arrest, Carlos Lamar Scotland initially claimed self-defense, a narrative that raised eyebrows given the circumstances of Ashia's death. His story contained inconsistencies that investigators were quick to identify. It became clear that there were significant gaps in his account of what transpired that night. The evidence collected at the scene painted a starkly different picture, one that suggested a calculated act rather than a desperate struggle for survival.
Did the defendants ever suggest that there was some type of altercation in the room?
Yes.
Okay. And when you look at that picture, sir, is there anything that would suggest there was a struggle or altercation in that room?
Not at all.
MSP Detective James Plummer says Scotland eventually admitted to shooting Davis.
And could you tell us, what did he say as it relates to that, sir?
That he, after the victim swung at him, that he shot the victim in the face or neck area.
Okay. And are you familiar with the medical examiner's report in this case, sir?
Yes.
Okay. And was the victim shot in the face or the neck, sir?
No.
In fact, where was she actually shot?
In the back of the head.
Literally in the back of the head at close range, correct?
Yes.
Did he ever correct that part of it?
No.
Scotland initially claimed it was all done in self-defense after she allegedly attacked him with a knife.
He initially said that he had took the knife and discarded it in a field. He then recanted that and said that the victim swung at him with a closed right fist while possessing a phone in the victim's left hand.
Okay. And did he ever say where the knife was that he claims was there?
He provided great detail initially, looking at a map as to where he discarded this knife before saying that there was no knife.
And just as the detective was getting into details about how Scotland and Davis ended up meeting that fateful night, Scotland's episode began. Eventually, his attorney told the judge another inmate allegedly slipped Scotland 3 pills before coming to court, causing the drowsiness and forcing the judge to adjourn for the day.
The defense always prolongs the thing. I don't know why they think it's in their best interest to prolong it or make it even longer when inevitably he was already found competent. So it's only a matter of time, but I'm very confident that Ashia Davis is going to receive the justice that she needs.
As the case progressed, it became evident that Carlos Lamar Scotland's defense would be scrutinized heavily in court. The community rallied around Ashia's memory, demanding accountability and justice for a life taken far too soon. The investigation not only aimed to hold Carlos Lamar Scotland responsible, but also shed light on the broader issues of violence against transgender individuals, issues that demand urgent attention and action. In the courtroom, the atmosphere was heavy with emotion as the trial of Carlos Lamar Scotland unfolded. Key moments during the proceedings revealed not only the gravity of the charges, but also the stark reality of Ashia Davis's murder. One particularly jarring incident occurred when Carlos Lamar Scotland was seen falling asleep during testimony, an action that shocked those present and underscored the seriousness of the situation. It was a moment that many in the courtroom found deeply unsettling, as it seemed to reflect a lack of regard for the life that had been lost. As the trial progressed, victim impact statements became a poignant part of the proceedings. Julissa Abad, a close friend of Ashia's, delivered a heartfelt statement that resonated with everyone in attendance. She recalled the night she learned of Ashia's murder, sharing her anguish and disbelief. "Most people's memories of their loved ones are good memories," Abad said. "The last memory that I have is seeing my friend on the floor outside of the hotel corner room with black screaming all over the floor. Her words painted a vivid picture of grief and loss, emphasizing how deeply Ashia's death affected not only her friends and family but also the broader community. In November 2024, Carlos Lamar Scotland entered a plea deal, pleading guilty to second-degree murder and felony firearm charges. This decision came after months of legal proceedings and public outcry for justice. The plea deal was seen as a necessary step towards accountability for Ashia's murder. On January 10, 2025, Carlos Lamar Scotland was sentenced to 17 to 30 years in prison. The sentencing marked a significant moment for Ashia's loved ones and advocates who had tirelessly fought for justice. During this time, Cam Towns, a prosecutor with the Fair Michigan Justice Project, spoke about the impact that such senseless violence has on the transgender community. "Murders like this just add to the fear that people already feel," Cam Towns stated during sentencing. As Carlos Lamar Scotland begins his sentence, Ashia Davis's legacy continues to inspire advocacy for change and awareness around violence against transgender individuals. The courtroom proceedings served not only as a legal process but also as a reminder of the lives affected by such tragedies and the urgent need for societal change. The violence faced by transgender women, particularly those of color, is a grave issue that demands attention. In recent years, the statistics have painted a stark picture of this ongoing crisis. According to reports, the number of transgender individuals murdered in the United States nearly doubled between 2017 and 2021. Disturbingly, Black transgender women are disproportionately affected, accounting for nearly 3/4 of known victims, despite representing only about 13% of the transgender community. The data reveals that transgender people are over 4 times more likely than their cisgender counterparts to experience violent victimization. This includes not only murder but also physical assault and sexual violence. The American Medical Association has recognized this as an epidemic, highlighting that transgender individuals face a unique set of risks and challenges that contribute to their vulnerability. On June 1, 2023, the day Ashia Davis was murdered, marked the beginning of Pride Month, a time meant to celebrate the LGBTQ+ community and its achievements. Yet, Ashia's tragic death serves as a painful reminder of the ongoing challenges faced by this community. It underscores the urgent need for awareness and action against the violence that continues to plague transgender individuals, particularly those from marginalized backgrounds. As the community continue to reflect on Ashia's story and the broader context of violence against transgender women, it becomes clear that these issues are not isolated incidents but part of a larger systemic problem. The fight for equality and safety for all members of the LGBTQ+ community is far from over. Each life lost is a call to action, to create a society where everyone can live freely and without fear. In the wake of Ashia Davis's tragic murder, the LGBTQ+ community came together in profound grief and solidarity. Vigils were held to honor her memory, drawing friends, family, and allies who gathered to pay their respects and continue to call for justice. These gatherings were not just memorials. They were powerful statements against the violence that disproportionately affects transgender individuals, particularly those from marginalized communities. The outpouring of love and support underscored the deep impact Ashia had on those around her. Organizations like the Fair Michigan Justice Project and the Human Rights Campaign stepped forward to advocate for transgender rights and combat violence against the community. The Fair Michigan Justice Project, in particular, has been instrumental in addressing the alarming rates of violence against transgender individuals. They work tirelessly to ensure that cases like Ashia's receive the attention they deserve and that justice is served. Their efforts include providing legal support and advocacy to help prosecute crimes against transgender individuals effectively. Tori Cooper, Director of Community Engagement for the Human Rights Campaign's Transgender Justice Initiative, expressed the collective frustration felt by many in the community. Ashia Davis was a beautiful human being who deserves at a minimum to be alive today, sharing her cheerful spirit with us, she stated. Tori Cooper emphasized that anti-trans rhetoric and stigma perpetuate violence, calling for greater accountability from those in power. Julissa Abad, a close friend of Ashia and Director of Transgender Advocacy at the Fair Michigan Justice Project, also spoke out passionately. The sad reality is that particularly in the Black and brown community, men who are enamored with trans women cannot be themselves and have to resort to loving us in private and killing us in public, she said during her victim impact statement. Her words resonated deeply, shedding light on the intersectionality of racism, transphobia, and misogyny that contributes to such tragedies. Ashia's death is not just a personal loss but a rallying cry for change. The community's response showcases their resilience and determination to fight against violence and discrimination. In memory of Ashia Davis, advocates continue to push for justice, visibility, and systemic change, ensuring that her legacy lives on. Her untimely death is a stark reminder of the work that remains in ensuring safety for all. Let her story fuel the commitment to advocate for change and honor the lives of those lost to senseless violence. If you found this video informative, please consider hitting the like button. It helps more people see this story and keeps these important conversations going. If you haven't already, subscribe for more deep dives into true crime cases that need attention. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss an upload.